Welcome back to Old War Stories with Uncle Jay. This one is entitled Keying Everything in Manually. The reason this particular war story I am telling right now is because of something that happened not just to myself but also to the WIF the other day. We went to Lidl, LIDL, whatever you want to call it. It's Lidl. A lot of people say Lidl, it's little, but you say tomato, I say tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. Anybody know that reference? No? Yeah, I didn't think so. Anyways, the whiff went to Lidl the other day and got whatever stuff we needed. She came home and whatever, and she says, "Oh, I got to tell you, I went to the register and I tried doing the tap to pay with the credit card, and it didn't work. It said error." Strange. And then she said, okay, now she put the chip in to quote unquote dip the card because you have dip with chips. Haha, not funny, credit card companies. And it said error unsupported card. Then it asked you to swipe. And then she swiped and then magically it went through. The guy at the register said, "Oh, this register always has fucking problems," essentially. So whatever, it went through, here's your receipt, have a good day. Okay. I went to Lidl yesterday, and I don't know if I got the same register or if it's a widespread software problem or what, but I ran into exactly the same problem. I did the tap, I'm waiting, it said error. Then I stick the card in to dip it, and it said unsupported card. I turned to the guy behind me online, and I said, "You got 3 ways you could use this card, and none of them work." I swiped it, it worked, I paid, I was on my way. But that reminded me of a time. Now, this is dated, of course, because that's what an old war story is most times. This is going back to late 1997 to late 1998. Don't remember exactly which. I was working at the Wiz. I was a cashier. It was a job right out of high school. Fair enough. We had various registers throughout the store, but the main registers were... The Wiz was kind of like in the basement of an upstairs store, which used to be a place called the Great American Drug Store, and then they went out of business and the Wiz actually bought the upstairs or leased it or whatever it is, and then we had everything all together. But still, the main registers were in the basement for all of that time. And it was tough because there were stairs that went up and 2 escalators, which were, up and down, and they were made by Hitachi, which I thought was kind of interesting because back in when the Wiz was king, Hitachi was a VCR you could buy, a TV you could buy, stuff like that. They made home stereo components and stuff like that. The Hitachi escalators were always broken. They almost never worked. They had a guy there like every week. They must have had like the best service contract in the world. The guy came out and replaced everything on this thing multiple times over, and it still never worked right. Was he incompetent? They had different guys over the years, so I have no idea why, but it was just a total piece of shit. I have not seen a Hitachi escalator since, but the doors to get outside and some windows were up there. And I'll tell you, when the sun would come in the evening, ooh, it came in at just the right angle, and you had to practically wear sunglasses behind the register because it came down all through. And it was hard to see the screen. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the registers. I don't remember exactly too much about them because they were kind of locked down. You really didn't, you weren't really able to kind of get into them and see what's going on. I've rebooted them a couple of times, and I know based on the BIOS splash screen and whatever that they were 386 PCs. Don't remember the speed or how much RAM, and they all had 9-inch monochrome white VGA monitors. That's all I could tell you about them. At night, I don't know exactly how it worked, but I don't know that we actually had a server in the store. I think the registers sort of, there was just a main computer in the office somewhere, but it wasn't like a true server and all that. And what would happen at night after we closed, if you were there late enough, is the headquarters of the place would call by dial-up modem and hit the main computer and tell it, I need all of the transaction data from all of the registers. So it would go around the store and send all of the transactions, which I guess were stored on the hard drives of these machines for the day. I don't know. And you would see it, and it would say, you know, polling something, and it would say one of however many, whatever it was uploading, and it would transfer and transfer and transfer and transfer, and then the next register would hit, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. In this main part of the store where I was, there was a bank of 4 registers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Register 1 was always used. 2 was always used. 3 was sometimes used. 4 was never used. There was also yet another register over in what we called center court at the base of the steps, and I never worked at that one, or maybe once or twice, but it was whatever. So there was that, and then we had the music department. There were 3 registers there maybe, and then the home office side where I later ended up, they had 2 there, but we also ran credit card transactions on the sales floor. So there were yet more registers as well. And they all had these little 9-inch white VGA monitors. They were cute. They were small. They were not the greatest after being on for so many thousands of fucking years, but they were there. Before we get into keying everything in manually, one thing happened with register number 2, which again is going to become important a little bit later. Everything on this register died. I came in one day, and I was working the evening. So I came in, what was it, like 2 to 10, something like that, whatever it was. And I came in, and the sun is coming in, and it's hard to see the screen, and it's blinding you, and it wasn't good. But I had noticed that the right side of the picture was squished in a bit. The next day, when I came to work, there was no monitor there. They told me that the monitor blew up and smoke came out of it. That was cool. That, interestingly enough, was a little bit of an oddball. It was a different brand monitor, whatever. Oh, and the printers, by the way, the receipt printers on these were dot matrix still back in the day. They also were a journaled printer, which we used for a time, and then it just got too unwieldy to I don't know why we stopped doing the journal. Basically what it was is, think of a receipt printer today. This was twice as wide. And what it would do is when the computer would send data to it, you know, Hitachi VCR, it would send Hitachi VCR, space, Hitachi VCR. So it would print the journal and the main receipt that would come out of the printer. So this way there was a paper log of everything. And the second line would have the quantity and the price and the total of it. But anyway, we stopped using the journaling feature at one point or another, and they just function as regular receipt printers. Anyway, that aside, let's get into keying everything manually. First of all, I don't know why stores have so many registers when only one or two are ever open. I haven't figured that one out. You got a line a mile long, and then you get the Karens online. Can you have somebody open another register? Let me speak to the manager. You know, you get the Karens and shit like that. But here's the deal. They have more registers there for busier times, but they do not have the staff to run the registers. The registers cost, I don't know, let's pick a number, $1,500 for all the equipment for one register. How much does it cost to pay the employee to run it? A hell of a lot more than that. So that's why they have extra registers, so this way the capabilities are there, and also it's there in case a register goes down. Sometimes there's a problem, and usually stores will have service contracts or whatever, and they get the dick in to fix it, and then it's operational and they continue using it. Happen all the time. My dad, working for IBM for years, he worked on IBM cash registers, and yeah, he fixed them up, and then they worked. One of the few times, there's going to be links to this, it was called IBM and Son. One of the very few times he took me with him to work with him, we stopped into a store somewhere. They had a call about a register that was down, and he had to fix it. This was a clothing store, I think. I can't remember. And they had a hand scanner, barcode scanner. You know, and it's got the little red light that goes back and forth on it and all that. And that plugged into a port on the keyboard. However, the scanner they bought was not an IBM brand scanner. It was a Symbol brand, SYMBOL. That was the most common scanner. They were rugged, they were durable, they could withstand a nuclear attack. They were good stuff. So I guess the stores wanted that instead of whatever IBM made. Nobody ever got fired for buying IBM, but still, it also stands for inferior but marketable. So there you go. They bought the Symbol scanners, and my dad had told the lady that sometimes the scanner can cause the whole system to lock up because they're dropped and whatever and shit like that. Well, anyway, this is back at the Wiz, and these were not IBM registers, but just keep that in mind, what I said about IBM registers and the scanners. Well, it so turns out that one day I came into work, again, work in the evening, and we had the manager, Karen. Her name was Karen, and she was a manager. And she said, okay, you're going to be on register 2. So I go there, and a customer comes up. Hi, how you doing? Oh, just that today? Okay, sure, no problem. And I'm logged in, which you type in on the keyboard and that. Oh, and we had credit card swipes. We actually, believe it or not, we had, on the old system, we had pin pads, and they had vacuum fluorescent displays, and it would show the item and the price on there as kind of a customer display, but we didn't use them for credit cards. The keyboards on these registers were Cherry branded, and they had a credit card swipe built in on them. This was before the day, mostly before the days of credit card scammers, you know, where they swipe your card and get the numbers, and then fraudulent charges and identity theft and all that kind of shit. So this was the norm for the day. No cards, no credit cards had chips in them or anything like that. Customer would give you the card, whoosh, and that was it, and then you hand it back. Well, you weren't supposed to. What you were supposed to do was hang on to their card and then give them the receipt to sign. And you've probably signed using a credit card somewhere before, whether it's on the pin pad or actually on paper. And what that is a promissory to pay. saying, yes, this is me. Yes, I was in this store. Yes, I made this purchase for this amount on such and such a date and time, and I promise to pay this in accordance with my cardholder agreement. A lot of times nowadays, signatures aren't necessary anymore for whatever reason, but back in the day they were. And you were supposed to hold on to the card, have the customer sign the receipt, and then compare the signatures. And it was just based on, yeah, close enough, and that was that. Sometimes people were smart, and on the back of the card they'd say, ask for ID. And I'd look at the back of the card and I'd say, I'm going to need some ID, sir. Oh, absolutely. And he'd pull out a driver's license or what have you, and that was that. So, and other people would sign and would look nothing like that, and I'd question them. And they didn't like that either. But if they could produce any kind of other ID and the name was the same, it was close enough. It was good enough. But that's what the signature used to be. So it wasn't as simple as whoosh, and hand the card back. That's how it was supposed to work back in the day. Didn't always, because people were lazy. Okay, so whatever day this was, it was getting to be holiday time. It was getting busy. It might have been November or early December. And I go in and they say, okay, you're going to be on register 2. So again, we had 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one not used. So I'm on 2. Same one where the monitor had blown up either before or after, makes no difference. And the first customer comes up and I say, just that? Okay, no problem. And I'm logged in like I said. And I pick up the scanner and I go to scan it. Nothing. It's dead. The scanner's dead. All right, whatever. You got to key it in manually. No problem. It's 12 digits. Okay. Okay, $15.99 plus tax come to $17.83. I don't know. I'm making numbers up. And now they go to pay with a credit card. Fine. So I take the credit card. Whoosh, all right, well, I don't know. Maybe their card's worn out. Sometimes the magnetic stripe would wear out. So I punch that in manually. You could do that back in the day. Type in the card number and expiration date and all that. And it processed, and it was approved, and the receipt printed and the whole thing. And there you go. Thank you. Have a good day. There was also another time I remember earlier on when I first started where a guy gave the credit card and, oh, maybe it was even me. And it turns out there was another cashier who also ironically was named Jason. And he had been working there a lot longer than I have because I was a newbie. And I'm trying to swipe the credit card and it's not swiping. It's just not working. So he took a plastic bag that we would put the stuff they bought in, because we had them in those days, and wrapped the card inside the plastic bag. This one now took the credit card, wrapped in the bag and all, and ran that through the credit card swipe, and wouldn't you know it fucking worked? I never had to use that trick myself, but for some reason the plastic bag made it work. How and why, I don't know. Maybe it was just luck, but he wouldn't have done that if it didn't work for him before. So I don't know what the magic is behind that. If anybody does know, let me know. I'd love to know, because I never did figure that out. So anyway, first customer goes, and his card didn't swipe, and for some reason the scanner didn't work, and that was odd. All right. And one other very, 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 very important thing that I need to mention is on Register 1 and Register 3, there were dark blouses. I had the light blouse on in the middle. on register 2 because 4 was never used. So I said, gee, that's odd. All right, next customer comes. It's not scanning. Paying by credit card. Not working. So I pick up the phone. Karen, can you come to register 2? Karen, register 2, please. Or I called her extension or whatever the fuck it was. Got in touch with her. So she came over. I said, the scanner and the credit card swipe aren't working. She says, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that. Okay, I get it. Okay, it's fine that you forgot and didn't tell me. That's okay too, but what about register 4? Oh, no, we can't open that register. Why not? It's sitting there ready for anybody to log in. Well, you're on register 2 today. And then she stormed off. For the entire rest of the night, I had to key in every single item by hand, and every credit card customer, I'd have to key in the card number manually. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I will tell you one thing. My register still had the fastest line. You tell me why the dark blouses with working scanners and working credit card swipes were slower in ringing up a transaction than I was, doing it manually, keying in everything manually. Remember, this was 1997, 1998. It's gotten a lot worse in the 26, 27 years since. Just saying. Why they couldn't open register 4, I don't know. I have no idea. If she would have said, oh, the receipt printer doesn't work on that, and we haven't gotten it fixed. Fair enough. Something. You know, or why don't you take the working one from 2 and plug it into 4? Nope. Something. But no, let me sit there and key everything in manually, and I was still faster than the dark blouses. Now, I was young, and I was naive, and I should have really, really made us think about this, because it wasn't fair. It really wasn't fair. But still, I was still able to get everything keyed in manually faster than the goddamn dark blouses on either side of me. That's sickening. That is just sickening. I don't know, but that experience at Little is what prompted this one to come to mind. Yeah, that's about all I got for this one. So with that, I thank you very kindly for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.